Hello. It is 5 a.m. in Washington, noon in Jerusalem. I'm Monita Rajpal.
And I'm Zain. You're watching World One live from London. Also ahead, take a look at this incredible video.
We're in the Middle East, where an inflammatory report says Palestinian negotiators offered major concessions in peace talks with Israel in the past few years, which the Israelis apparently rejected. This coming from a trove of 1,700 leaked documents about the peace process that the Al Jazeera network says it obtained. The biggest concession appears to be an offer by the Palestinians in 2008 to give up most of East Jerusalem. They also offered to compromise on other contentious issues, including the right of return of Palestinian refugees and control of Jerusalem's Temple Mount, the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, one of Islam's holiest places. The documents appear to cover negotiations going back more than a decade. CNN's Jerusalem bureau chief Kevin Flower has been reading through them, and he joins us now live. Kevin Flower in Jerusalem, thank you. Well, Palestinian officials have been quick to deny these reports. The chief negotiator during the 2008 talks told the Associated Press that many parts of the documents were fabricated, and the current chief negotiator, Saeb Erekat, told Al Jazeera on Sunday that right now we are waiting for official reaction out of Israel, and we're not done with this story just yet. Coming up in just about 20 minutes, a look at how newspapers around the world are covering it. We'll tell you who is accusing Al Jazeera of, quote, declaring war on the Palestinian Authority.
A new twist in the scandal that's drawn in movie stars.
U.S. President Barack Obama delivers his annual State of the Union speech on Tuesday. It is where he outlines his agenda for the year ahead. Although the polls say his approval ratings are rising, polls show most Americans have yet to be convinced on his economic program. In a videotaped address to supporters, he gave a sneak preview of just what to expect.
We're going to
They are images that have raised questions about how people with mental illness are treated in the Netherlands. A teenage psychiatric patient tied to a wall. The hospital says Brandon's case is exceptional and does not reflect the treatment most patients receive. It said it would investigate other cases in which patients are subject to similar restraints. We're joined now by Linda Papadopoulos, who's a psychologist. And Linda, it's easy to describe this as barbaric. It's easy to be outraged by all of this. But we understand that Brandon had fits of uncontrollable anger. But are there alternatives to this, or what choices did mental health practitioners have?
I mean, the fact of the matter is that it's understood that in some cases, for the safety of the patient.
We are less than 2 weeks away from one of the sporting highlights of the year, the Super Bowl, and on Sunday in the U.S., 4 NFL teams were battling out for 2 spots at next month's showdown in Dallas, Texas. And here to tell us which sides have the chance to make history is Alex Thomas. If you hadn't watched it, you would know, but now that those football fans out there would know.
Exactly. The time of the season when even those that don't follow the NFL really get glued to it. And the first...
Well, some would say the Super Bowl is more than just a championship football game. It's, dare I say, a cultural event? Dare I say that?
No, I think that's fair enough. And you could see how pleased Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback, was there, because he knows the Super Bowl is one of those sporting events that transcends those that are only interested in sports. You know, it's a worldwide TV audience measuring in the tens of millions, if not the hundreds of millions. Probably more soap opera than sport, you could say. People will look forward to seeing who's going to be the half-time act. It's the Black Eyed Peas this time. Makes a change from some of the more veteran acts they've had.
Oh, yeah, when I lived in the U.S., I would watch it. Didn't know who was playing, didn't know what the game was about, but I would watch it because of the commercials and the halftime act, of course. Alex, thank you very much for that. Now, outside the U.S., the sport is called American football, but it's becoming increasingly more worldly. In the past decade, the number of players born outside the U.S. has gone up from 52 to 70, and that's a 35% increase. Take you to Tunisia now, where police have again used tear gas today to disperse protesters camped outside the Prime Minister's office. He's one of a number of politicians they want to quit the government. For most people in the North African country, the homes of their former leaders have always been off limits, but that's not the case anymore. As Ben Wiedemann reports, the collapse of the government has opened the doors to expose how the ruling class lived.
It's all a bit overwhelming for the residents of the seaside town of Hammamat.
Here's something product placement experts could soon be sinking their teeth into: a 3D printer that pumps out food. The U.S. designers hope the goodie-making gizmo will become as commonplace as the microwave, but will you be able to afford it? Laurie Segal has more on that.
truck just plowed through the central reservation. This is World One, right here on CNN.
Yes.